It is an awful matchup for Wisconsin. They got the shaft in terms of a draw here. Like we talked about, UConn getting a very tough region. Wisconsin got a very tough first game against JMU here. I think JMU is built for a Cinderella run. They're 59th in KenPom ratings. They do have a tough matchup here as well. I mean, it's not going to be an easy fight for them either, but I think they can keep this game close. And if they keep it close down the stretch, I do think they have an advantage. They're 31-3 on the season. They've beaten good teams. It all goes back to beating Michigan State to begin the season. Again, at that time, the Spartans were a very reputable program with a lot of hype around them. And overall, there's still a lot of talent on that Michigan State team, even though they didn't have the best season. When you look at them in this game as well, they're 18-14-1 against the spread. James Madison has been getting big numbers a lot in the Sun Belt. They have been covering them, and they also know how to win down the stretch. Terrence Edwards Jr. is one of the most dynamic guards in the tournament from a mid-major school because of his length. He's 6'6", scoring 17 points per game, doing 4 rebounds, 3 assists. He's been fantastic. And he's shooting 47% from the field, coming off a 47% night, I should say, in the Sun Belt Championship. For JMU to cover, they need to shut down A.J. Storr. Storr has been the dominant player for Wisconsin throughout the entire season, especially in the Big Ten tournament. He was fantastic. But if JMU can hang and give themselves a chance down the stretch, I really do like them here because Wisconsin's defensive efficiency just has not been that good. They're 47th in adjusted defensive efficiency in terms of KenPom. Their defense could be the reason we see the 5-12 upset. Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I don't love totals in general, but this total caught my eye here, the over 162.5. I wouldn't play it much higher than this, again, because it's the NCAA tournament, and Kentucky should win this game with ease, so I don't know if we'll see that offensive pressure down the stretch, but I think they can put up over 100 by themselves easily, and then Oakland's got to contribute a little bit, obviously, but Kentucky plays absolutely no defense, so they shouldn't have too tough of a time. Looking at Kentucky scores in this one, Antonio Reeves, 20-plus points in 4 of his past 5 games. They also have some really good guards with Rob Dillingham and Reed Shepherd, who are very dominant on the floor. They can be the dominant scorers on any given night. Kentucky has multiple guys that can score for them. So you're not really going to see that bad offensive night against a team like Oakland. Oakland, say what you want about them. They're okay, but they're going against Kentucky, who's 108th in adjusted defensive efficiency from KenPom. Pretty much anyone who's gone against Kentucky this season has been able to score against them. Trey Townsend is their best scorer. He's averaging 17 points per game. Also have Blake Lampman and Jake Golke. Kentucky will dominate in transition offense, but I think Oakland's also going to be able to get their shots. Obviously not win this game or be competitive here, but enough to get this game over the 162.5-point line. Yeah, you're going to get 2 perspectives on this game. You're going to see have people think that Iowa State's going to blow them off the court, or South Dakota State's going to make this very interesting and keep it close. I think if Iowa State does cover this, which I am taking them to cover, it's going to be by 20-plus points because they just have the overall better team. They were the best team in the Big 12 this season against the spread, 23-10-1 in that conference, which is very remarkable, covering nearly 70% of the time. They were cashing tickets in a loaded conference. So now they're getting a South Dakota State team that they're clearly better than, and the competition they played is better than South Dakota State. So it makes sense they would come in and cover this number here. South Dakota State did not dominate against the spread by any means in the Summit League. They were 14-15 in this area. They're 134th overall in the KenPom ratings compared to the Cyclones, who are in 5th. Now, Iowa State was expected to potentially get a 1 seed. Didn't end up happening. They landed in the East region. That's pretty deflating for them because of all the talent there. But I think they have no problem in this first round game. Cruise to a cover here. Look for some of their big guys to have some big nights. Keyshawn Gilbert's their primary scorer, dropping 13.8 points per game. Also really good with the rebounds and the assists. He's doing over 4 in each category there. I think he has a big night, and I think overall Iowa State just overpowers the South Dakota State team. Obviously, the ACC tournament didn't go how they wanted to go. NC State beat them, and NC State beat everyone. So Duke's not alone there, but I think we're going to see Duke come out and play a lot harder than they have. The one thing I can't stand about Duke, when things go wrong for this team, Kyle Filipowski and his whole crew there, they hang their head, they point fingers, and they seem to go downhill. But in this game, I don't think they're going to have that at all. I think they're going to come out, play very hard, and find a way to cover this number. They're 18-13-1 against the spread in the ACC. The American East is no matchup for the ACC. And Kyle Filipowski also, while he does hang his head, and while I don't love his attitude sometimes, he is a tremendous player, 17.1 points per game, 8.2 boards. Nobody on Vermont can keep up with him. Nobody on Vermont's going to be able to keep up with Jeremy Roach as well if he can add some shots from the perimeter. So if things go right from the Blue Devils early, I think they come out and just absolutely roll Vermont.